Evergreen apocalypse. 1. What makes a person and a company successful is only the trend of the times, not individual and organizational abilities. In terms of time, Su Jian established Guangzhou Evergrande Industrial Group Company, Limited in 1996 and served as the chairman of the board of directors. In the following 10 years, from 1998 to 2007, China's real estate entered a golden decade. During this decade, China Evergrande and Su Jian made great strides and became the largest real estate giant in China. Meanwhile, on April 6, 2020, Su Jian ranked 32nd on the Huan Global Top 100 Entrepreneurs with a wealth of 186 billion yuan. From this, it can be seen that Su Jian's success is not due to his strong abilities, but rather because he stepped on the wind of real estate and successfully reaped huge dividends. So, what can achieve you and me is the trend of the times, not individual and organizational abilities. 2. Focusing on one thing is easier to succeed, and diversification often brings the risk of collapse due to diversification failure. Su Jian made his fortune in real estate, and after that, China Evergrande's industries began to diversify, creating Evergrande Real Estate, Evergrande Automobile, Evergrande Property, Evergrande Network, RV Treasure, Evergrande Children's World, Evergrande Health, Evergrande High Technology, Evergrande Ice Spring, and other industries. In fact, China Evergrande has successfully developed many projects in real estate, but other projects have not been completed. Especially Evergrande Automobile and Evergrande Bingquan, these projects are very failed. The failure of these projects lies in the fact that they require large investment but low returns, relying on burning money for profits, and the degree of capitalization and market value are not high, leading to Evergrande's continuous bleeding and ultimately falling into an overall crisis. So, focusing on one thing makes it easier to succeed, and the result of diversification is that failure can lead to systemic collapse. 3. Reasonable control of financial leverage, reasonable control of enterprise scale and overall debt ratio indicators to achieve health. It is obvious that the biggest failure of Su Jian and China Evergrande lies in their pursuit of financial leverage. China Evergrande repeatedly purchases land nationwide, mortgages it to banks, and collects the purchase price from homebuyers. Through suppliers' advances to build buildings, they continuously suck blood from the people and the country, using the financing funds to fill those holes, and under the operation of borrowing from the East to make up for the West. Ultimately, it reached a debt of 2.3 trillion yuan, becoming the largest private enterprise in the history of the country's establishment with the largest debt scale. It can be said that Su Jian has taken a very radical approach to financial leverage, even becoming insane. As long as investors give money, Su Jian takes it, and as long as banks lend, Su Jian dares to lend. Perhaps at this moment, Su Jian was already chasing and running for money, fame and fortune, desire, and extreme desire to conquer, while in front of him was the cliff and infinite abyss. On the part of Evergrande, it once wanted the state to take action and expressed to the state that Evergrande's crisis was caused by the national economy and policies, while relevant national institutions pointed out that Evergrande's crisis was the result of its own lack of refined operations. It is also reflected here that Su Jian has lost control over the company's management. Especially Evergrande Wealth, which adopts the method of absorbing public deposits at high interest rates, mixes and misappropriates funds, and combines finance with the real economy, is also the key to causing Evergrande's collapse. Therefore, for ordinary people, reasonable control over financial leverage should be achieved. 4. Entrepreneurs need patriotism and cannot transfer risks to the people and the country when they cannot create social value. In fact, as a real estate enterprise, China Evergrande has been stepping on 3 red lines and continuously expanding its scale when the government issued relevant guidelines and policies. At Wanda, when Vanke began to shrink its scale, Su Jian launched a fierce attack on China's Evergrande accelerator, expanding Evergrande into the Evergrande empire by buying and selling, circling, and so-called lane-changing overtaking. At this time, the macroeconomic environment began to decline due to various reasons such as international relations and the 3-year pandemic. Consumers' consumption of real estate has changed, and at this time, Evergrande is like a bleeding beast that needs to survive through massive financing, issuing various RMB and US dollar bonds. It can be said that the country has given Evergrande enough time and opportunities to mitigate risks. For Evergrande, the country is more like a mother, treating her children with love. At this moment, Su Jian did not realize the importance that the country attached to him. He shouted to protect the property while secretly transferring funds overseas, even resorting to technical divorce and choosing to apply for bankruptcy protection in the United States, attempting to transfer the risk to the country and the people. I think this is the biggest shame for China Evergrande and Su Jian. Entrepreneurs need to have a national spirit. If they cannot create social value, please do not transfer the risks of the enterprise to the country and people. This is also the key to why Su Jiayin was subjected to mandatory measures. Due to Su Jiayin's inaction and lack of responsibility, his wife and children eventually separated, and his son and father were sent to prison with a tragic ending. A generation of legends has come to an end. China is a land where business legends can be continuously created, and it is also a land where fair and just business competitions can be achieved. No matter what kind of relationship or backstage, if one cannot abide by laws and regulations, if one cannot create value for the people and the country, and attempts to transfer risks to the people and the country, then the ultimate legal net will be restored, without any omissions. Even if you are the richest man in China, even if you once stood in the Tiananmen Gate Tower, it's the same. At present, China is the second largest economy in the world, and in the future, China will also be a world power leading global development. In this process, China will produce more outstanding entrepreneurs and business legends.